Yes, legends, how is everybody doing? Let's go. Let's analyze the situation here all together for the price of Bitcoin. Make sure to destroy that like button, guys. We did hit some new highs yesterday. That was not the top. That was not the rejection. How is everyone doing? Make sure to destroy that like button. Let me just go quickly through the comment section. So we did get a wick to the upside very early this morning or late last night, depending on where you at, okay, in this amazing world. You know, we did get that movement to $107,000. And out of curiosity, that high, okay, let me know if you can hear me and see me, guys. Just checking out the volume. These lower high wicks, okay, very difficult if you wanted to get into this swing failure pattern, but ultimately we did hit the high of this lower high range wicks, many wicks here at 107,100, where we do know that there was still some liquidity sitting right there. And we just ever so slightly hit that level, ever so slightly, as you can see here on the chart. Exactly hitting that lower high here from January. This was not the lower high yesterday. We talked about the possibility of the price, you know, moving down impulsively. However, the price did get a major pump midnight my time, and we came all the way up to those lower highs. Very sniper trade short, I have to say. Okay, possibly a swing failure pattern, preferably on this short trade. We did have some lower highs from January, right? Those lower highs from January of this year is where we had those liquidity pockets, right? We got some really nice lower highs from the first few weeks of January, and we just got that extra wick to get above 107,100. The question is right now, you know, is this the time for the larger pullback, right? Getting below $100,000. I asked the poll yesterday. We're going to be doing the technical analysis, the major levels of support that we do have, of resistance. Very difficult shorting area, but without a doubt, you know, this area is interesting for some swing short positions. There's no doubt about it. I had some aggressive people in the comment section yesterday saying, I don't care. This is going to get an epic pullback. I'm going to short. I'm going to add to my shorts. No stop loss. I don't know what the kind of strategy is behind this, but overall, people just saying, yeah, I don't care about this pump from yesterday. I mean, depending on their risk management, maybe they added to the position. Maybe, you know, we realized the potential of the price rejecting from this zone. And what makes more sense is that we are forming a flat structure. And this is, you know, my opinion. I do think that we will be revisiting these highs just because of how we moved up from this consolidation. I cannot map the situation of this finishing as an impulsive move since we started the correction, right? How did we move up there from this low? If we are considering this the low or this the low, we moved up very corrective, right? You don't have a major impulsive move or a contracting move to the upside in a 5-wave structure, finishing an impulse and getting a super massive pullback to get below, you know, 95, even 90K levels. That would be nice for a big pullback on the higher time frame. But the way that the price has moved up here is telling me that, yeah, all-time highs is likely going to happen, right? Or at least taking out these highs. Preferably, we do see a start of an impulse, right? Very aggressively with your wave 1 already. And then your wave 3 to finally get to all-time high at some point. I do see the price potentially going to lower levels. That is, you know, that is something that, you know, I do see happening. I do see a potential 3-wave structure here to the upside, hit some resistance levels. We're going to talk about several scenarios right now, but one of the scenarios that we were looking at throughout the last couple of days is the potential of a flat. Just because the price from this pivot, right, or from, you know, this range, basically, you can count either a flat structure here for your A wave, or you can count here a 3-wave structure, WXY, and then this wave to the upside also in a 3-wave structure. Now, of course, we do have a little pump here, a nice little pump yesterday, getting that double top sentiment, right? Lots of people very likely wanted to short down here. We did mention on the live stream, you know, this would not be a great zone to short. I mean, if you have no stop loss and you just want to add to the position, then you're kind of fine, right? But if you do that, if you trade like that, then eventually if the price decided to break out with a huge amount of volume, then you're going to lose, you know, you're going to get your account burnt, right? So it's, you know, not the best way to trade. I think a lot of people would be confident that this would be a local top zone, and any tops at the highs here is likely going to be a short liquidation event, right? Short liquidation hunt. And then the price is going to finally get that dump to the downside. You know, double tops is the best option in this zone, especially considering the January, you know, lower highs. You had 2 levels here for your SFP. We actually broke pretty, you know, nicely from the first one and then tapped the next one for that extra liquidity grab. And then the price pulling back pretty aggressively early this morning. And we did realize, you know, the potential of this ABC flat. That usually usually your C waves of a flat are pretty aggressive. They take less time than your A wave. If we're counting this as your A wave in a 3-wave structure, and we're counting this as your B wave in a 3-wave structure, you know, this is kind of the classic move down where you're gonna literally, it's gonna be a liquidation event, right? You know, was kind of interested in a possible long scalp trade here to form a higher low, but it's getting a little bit choppy. We are getting some bullish CVD divergence. I'm going to go with the strategy that 𝗬𝗏𝗽 is, you know, providing in the legends. And for now, as we're getting this aggressive drop, a breakout of trend here would be relatively interesting just to take out these highs, okay? So that might be a little bit of a possible scalp position that we could get into unless the price does break down from here, right? Getting a little bit of an aggressive move to the downside. We do have some bullish CVD divergence. This looks very one-wavy. After a major drop down, it would be nice to get some kind of a 3-wave corrective structure. So the possibility of forming a higher low here is there. However, a 3-wave corrective structure could always be a flat as well, right? You can claim the lows, form a double bottom, and then reclaim the lower highs of today. So this is why you either form a higher low here, or you can claim the lows and form a double bottom. The kind of safest way here is just looking for a 3-wave, and this is only an internal scalp, guys, okay? Just to the highs. You know, the kind of good bet here would be the breakout of the trend, just realizing that a zigzag here after this major drop would kind of make sense, right? The problem with these ABC movements, if it is going to be an ABC, because this could be a running flat finished already and we actually get the rally. So, you know, I think a kind of a safer trade would be waiting for the break of the trend here. Just realizing that you are looking very corrective in this region. And if you break trend, then what you would be looking at, of course, is these lower highs of today to be claimed, right? You know, you're looking for a, you know, long stop loss beneath the low after the breakout and look for the price to actually get that rally to the upside. And that's just looking at a ABC idea. It might be a 1, 2, 3, but the breakout trend here would be a good option. Just because the bounce that we had today is very one-wavy, right? It looks very one-wavy, and preferably you do get a 3-wave structure. However, the price is maintaining here. The possibility of a flat is there. So I would really consider these lows as a possible double bottom just for a possible flat here. Get the bounce, liquidity grab of the lows, and you're looking for the liquidity grab of the highs. So a double bottom is an option, or the break of trend would be also an option just for an intraday setup here, guys, just because we do have also some pretty significant bullish CVD divergence. We got some shorts right now entering the market pretty aggressive, at least on Bybit. We got some higher lows on price action, lower lows on CVD. Also on other exchanges, we do get some lower lows. And it looks pretty interesting, okay? So on Bybit, we do have those lower lows pretty aggressively on the CVD, which could give you that support right now. And this is just internally, right? Just a little scalp scenario that I wanted to share in the YouTube live stream. But let's go overall here through the higher time frame scenarios. And yeah, this is one thing right now. The price action, how did it finish this 5? Is there any way that we can count a 5-wave move up here in an expanding move or a contracting move, right? Could this be a WXY and we formed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? This has been a little bit of an expanding move to the upside. You know, it just looks bad. It looks very, very bad. So, you know, for this to be the high and to get a huge pullback down to the mid-low 90K levels. So I am leaning here on the possibility that an ABC flat makes more sense, okay? And let's talk about the most important levels of support. This is higher time frame. So I would like to see the price actually coming down to this order block. This would be the number 1 level that I would like to see the price of Bitcoin at 99.5K zone, just because, as mentioned, the way that we have moved in this correction and the way that we've moved to claim here $107,000 does look very three-wavy, right? I cannot count this as a wave 1, wave 2, this a wave 3 because it's a lower high, right? Yeah, it just makes sense for this to be a three-wave structure, a three-wave structure to the upside. You do have 5 waves in this movement, which is a contracting move. You do have a little 3-wave structure here, and here you have a 5-wave move to the upside, which makes sense for another zigzag move here to the upside. And what is interesting is that you have hit, I mean, this is an aggressive short entry, I have to say. Very aggressive short entry here. If you did manage to catch kind of the double top, lower high, you know, the lower highs of January, pretty aggressive. You know, would it be nice to see a little bit more of a choppiness here? You know, this was a scenario that we talked about yesterday. However, we didn't create that choppiness, right? So we did get above 107,000 depending on what exchange you're looking at. And then, you know, we're getting this movement to the downside. I really wanted a little bit more choppiness. It's been a little bit more aggressive, but it's kind of the scenario that we were looking for as well yesterday, right? Where you get a bounce, you get a movement to the upside to get $107,000. And then we're looking for this pretty aggressive move down. I'm not sure if any of you guys managed to get into this short entry at $106,000, $107,000, right? There were some people bearish on yesterday's stream saying, you know, I'm just shorting, you know, we're going to get rejected. This is it. We did get that wick. We got the bounce here at the point of control, value area high in the end, right? Little lower. We did go a little lower and then we got the bounce to this $107,000 range. And then we got this movement to the downside, which is, yeah, we are dropping right now. This has to be, this is a very, very shallow pullback to get continuation to the downside. You know, I would consider, yeah, this is a very shallow pullback, a double bottom. Kind of interested in a long for a higher low, but if this is going to be an ABC, your B waves can be extremely tricky to get into a position, right? Because B waves can form a flat, right? You dip down beneath these lows, then you get the reaction, then it might bounce. So B waves are very dangerous, despite getting bullish CVDs. Yeah, we're dropping a little bit aggressive here. We got the lows very close. You know, the safest bet here would be break of trend, because then you realize, you know, you want to get this movement here to the upside if this were to be a higher low on a B wave. An ABC flat, also one scenario. This is something that could be very interesting. Let's see if we do get the reaction from the lows and we do not break down. It would be a little bit of an aggressive long scalp. You can be very defensive. Lots of people did say that they got into the short position yesterday on this double top. We did say that shorting down here was not an option. And people were actually getting into the short here on the rejection of the highs of last Monday. However, I'm actually in the way here of the analysis. Hang on a second. This without, you know, you need to be defensive on this short trade that you did take, and consider maybe later on an SFP from one of these January highs. But it was quick, right? It was kind of a liquidity grab. Very, very difficult. Let me know in the comment section, did anybody manage to get into that short? You know, I got into a small short position early this morning, but just considering the swing trade mentality, okay? Swing trade mentality, you know, I don't want to miss this level. So I'm going to get into a small short position. I just woke up early this morning, already getting that rejection from the highs. And just realizing that this is a swing shorting zone, right? If the price has really completed a 5-wave structure to the upside, and it is going to get a pullback to the mid 90K levels in the next coming weeks, right, or days, or even below 90K, you kind of want to short the highs here, right, or try and get into the double top. It doesn't, depending on your strategy. I like to day trade mainly, but I just thought I don't want to miss this short, right? If this is the high, you can be very protective. It's a classic swing short level, right? And the price could get pretty aggressive to the downside, where lots are expecting a corrective move, and then maybe the price does actually go lower and it does sweep up here the 93, 92K levels, right? And it actually goes to lower levels. This is the moment where a lot of people are going to say it's only a pullback, but the pullback can get very aggressive, right? And then gets you in doubt, which is kind of the sweet spot that you want to get into, right? It's like a pullback. Okay, yeah, mid 90K level should hold because it's the point of control, right? And the point of control of this range, this is the zone that needs to bounce if we were to come down, right? $97,000, massive, big resistance that we got here just a few weeks ago, last week of April, right? First week of May. Point of control. If the price does come down to this level in the next coming days, right, give or take this week or next week, this has to hold, right? It's the strongest level of resistance that we had, right? And it's the point of control. That's the thing, right? This is without a doubt a zone where I would expect a major reaction bounce, right? Give or take mid 90K levels, 95, 96, might get a little bit volatile, choppy here, but you would be expecting a bounce at this region if you were to come down there. So it's just a higher time frame level to take into consideration. What I would be a little bit aware of, if we completed a 5-wave structure, or we're still in the completion of a 5-wave structure where we do form a flat here, or a running flat, very possibly, very possible that you could form a running flat, and you still have one more wave to the upside to complete a 5-wave structure, because you can count a double 1-2 in this region, a 3-4-5, 4-5, and then you get the massive corrective move. I do think that another high could be claimed, even though it looks very toppy, right? Let me know your opinion in the comment section, because I know lots of people are going to be interested in shorting this. I shorted late. I'm protected already, but I just realized how we can come down and sweep below $100,000. The potential is definitely there. I'm also aware of the possibility of, instead of a expanding flat, which the target is actually coming down to $99,000, $98,000, a running flat is also possible, which has just been a fast move down. You form a higher low, and then the price decides to get some pumpy action momentum here very aggressively and claims the high again. And that's what you want to see when you claim a high for a top. You want to see a 5-wave impulsive move that looks pretty aggressive. You get explosive volume, right? At least internally. You take out the highs with a nice impulse, so you can, really label this wave as a 5th wave. But the fact that we've moved up here I don't know what this is. This is a big fat mess. It's just really corrective. You've got a 3-wave move here. I can't count an impulse to the upside from the lows, regardless if it's this one or this one. So it just all seems still part of a corrective structure, right? Which is kind of a 3-wave move, another 3-wave move yesterday, late yesterday, depending on where you're at, to create that B flat, right? This was a scenario that we have been very much aware of. Sweeping up those January lower highs. These are the last lower highs that we have on the market, right? Since all-time high. This is a massive liquidity pocket. Come on, guys. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comment section. I'm going to read you right now, see if anybody got into the sweep over these lower highs on a short. Realizing where we are at the moment with this expanding move to the upside. But I do think that another high is still yet to come. right? Of course, with the pullback, that's all nice, right? Of course, with the situation, with very much aware of this pullback at the $107,000, right? Get an aggressive move down, which is kind of what happened, right? You got the aggressive pump still to claim those highs, and the movement down is going to be pretty aggressive. It usually is if it is an ABC flat, right? It usually is a pretty aggressive move down. And for the moment, it has been pretty fast, right? It's dropped down $5,000. Yeah, I do see this still as part of a correction, guys. The fact that it does look extremely double toppy and it looks awful. It does look like that the price is going to nuke, right? That's what's, I think, a lot of people are going to, really think about this double top, that the price should nuke right now, right? At least to the mid 90K levels, right? And nuke, that's a pretty aggressive move down. But there is something about this chart that I don't see this being the high, guys. I don't see this being the high for that large pullback, right? Down to the mid 90K levels. There is something about this move that is telling me we're probably going to hit those highs again. And we're actually building liquidity again. There's actually quite a significant liquidity being built up to the upside still, which is interesting, right? You would have expected that pump, would have wiped out most of the shorts. And of course, you're going to get some shorts entering right now. I'm interested in the short. I'm in that short, not at the best level, but regardless, being very defensive, realizing the potential of the price going down to at least below 100K based on this ABC flat. A running flat would be an expanding flat would be the most obvious scenario here. So price could get a little aggressive. Now, why do I like this level so much? Why do I like this level so much at $99,000 range? Why is this level so nice? Well, first of all, it is an order block. You got an order block. You got a nice little consolidation, not leaving a massive amount of volume, but regardless, you got an order block right over here. When we consider Fibonacci retracement from this pivot low, from the start of this major rally that we had to the highs, and I'm going to get the highs here from last Monday. And I'm going to take into consideration these highs and not the highs formed yesterday. The main reason why is because I am aware of the flat here. Running flat that could finish in this area, might not take out the lows, or expanding flat, which is, most commonly you do get expanding flats, and there is quite a bit of liquidity here to be swept below $100,000, as we can see on the liquidity heat map, right? So you got that, just at, but even getting below $100,000, there's a few billion of long liquidation. So it kind of makes sense to kind of sweep up the lows of the range of this last week, right? It would be so nice. It would be the obvious trade, right? Get a major dump, sweep up the lows of the last week, right? Price action. And then, this is the most interesting level. Why is this the most interesting level down here? Well, it has to do with confluence and Fibonacci levels. If I don't like this to be the high, just because how the price action has moved to this high, I don't see this as an impulse, right? It's just, there's no 5-wave clear price action. You would have to use your imagination and get an expanding diagonal here, which is absolutely horrible. And of course, as an expanding diagonal is the least scenario if you have another count, you would have to take into consideration here the zigzag, right? Three-wave structure, and then the aggressive move down, which is the most common thing when you see an ABC flat. your C wave is aggressive, it's ferocious, it moves down, it nukes, right? Which is kind of the drop that we had early this morning. In about 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours, price moved down about $5,000, right? It's a pretty aggressive move down for just a few hours, right? Which is very, very common to see on that ABC flat. So just taking into consideration, we ain't going to go too fussy here with the waves and how we need a bounce and all of that. If the price comes down to this area, the 50% Fibonacci from this low to this high, because this is part of a correction, is the level that should maintain some support with this order block that we do have. And when we take into consideration the expanding flats, the target zone is the 1.618 extension, which is sitting around about this zone where I have this blue box. So we take the highs from last Monday and we get the extension to the end of the A wave. Regardless, you can count this low as the A wave as well, or this one. It doesn't really matter. You can count here the three wave move down and up. And you know, if you take this low regardless, and then the highs of the B wave, the 1.618 extension is really sitting around the $99,500 range, right? When we consider the most common targets, and this is sitting below the lows of the range. It would be nice to actually see an aggressive move down to hit the order block before it gets a reaction bounce. I mean, this would be the best zone, 99.7 to 99.2 range. The width of the order block, where we do have the 50% Fibonacci and you have the 1.618 extension. And this is still considering that we can create another high, regardless if it's going to be bullish and break all-time high, you know, or not. It's the level. This is the level to pay attention, in my opinion, for that day trade to swing long, right? It might take a few days to recover, but this is the very interesting level without a doubt. Order block, 50%. And why 50% is so important is because if this is another fourth wave, you got your 4-5. If this is another 4-5, you really want to see here, you know, the 50% being respected from this low. I mean, it would be nice for that 50% here with the order block and the 1.618 extension. We don't need to actually bounce from here, but it would be nice just because we have the 1.618 extension for the flat in this area. So we're gonna have to see, right? This is the kind of moment where lots of people are gonna say it's a Bart-Simpson pattern, right? We're still forming the Bart pattern, guys. Don't get me wrong. He's got a little bit of a few horns, right? You got a few horns here on the Bart-Simpson pattern. Oh, that's a very bad. His eyes are sticking out. Lots of people were expecting the Bart-Simpson pattern in this range. We were not expecting the Bart-Simpson pattern here in this range. We were, throughout this range, we were talking about hitting the highs again, hitting the highs again, hitting the highs again, until we actually broke out very successfully. We were very, very bullish in this range. And I'm actually a little bit concerned. I'm actually still bullish. And I think that we could be forming a higher low in this zone. I mean, it would be nice for a liquidity grab, and we can even form a higher low here, depending on how the price pumps, if it were to pump. But yeah, the most interesting level, without a doubt. If you did get into the short, absolute legend, I would be a little bit defensive. You know, I wouldn't short down here. That's obvious. But if you did short either here or here, you know, you kind of catched the double top scenario, a little bit volatile. You know, I would be defensive, and I would consider taking profits, you know, at the lows of the range. At least take some profits, just realizing the bullish outcome. If we just waterfall from here, then obviously you know, you want to maintain some of that long position open without a doubt. But I just see the possibility of the price just sweeping up the lows, finding support here. And if we find support, I do see that reversal when, you know, considering the ABC flat. Let me know your opinion, guys. I mean, this is obviously my opinion. I do not like how we have created this high. I want to see a nice 5-wave impulse to the upside here. The only way that I would consider this the end, you know, a local high here. We're going to be you know, we are going to correct for the next coming weeks. Is if we consider the triangle, right? If we consider the triangle that we talked about, which is this one right over here, and you have that A, B, C, D, E here, right? You have the A wave, B wave, C, D, and E not hitting the base of the triangle. That happens, and then the price ready for the next move, which it did. Then you need to label this as the end of the correction, and then you need to figure out a 5-wave structure to the upside, which you can, but it just looks awful. It's like really looking for something that doesn't exist, right? And which would be this kind of 5-wave structure to the upside. It just doesn't look good. It looks horrible, right? Let's leave it that way. You know, you got your 1-2 setup here in this small little grind. Since you created the lows on Saturday, small little grind up, boom, boom, boom. You form your 3rd wave. It gets an aggressive drop overlapping your pivot 1, where it got the bounce, and then it got the next wave. You do have a 5-wave structure here. It looks horrible, but you do have it. You do have a kind of a horrible 5-wave structure with overlap from your wave 1, which you need to consider as an expanding move. And expanding moves, you know, are very, very rare scenarios. You know, if you have something different, then this looks horrible. It just looks horrible. If you have another scenario, which we do, which is the flat, you know, you need to consider the flat more than this scenario. I mean, if that were to be the count, then this is the high, and we are going to see a much larger pullback throughout the next coming weeks, in my opinion. So a little bit choppy. I mean, whoever got into the shorts from higher, you know, well done. Be very much aware that this maybe is not the high. And I know the bulls are going to agree. You know, maybe this was not the high. This is just a pullback for a liquidity grab. Preferably, we do sweep up the lows of the range. It's all a liquidity game, right? You can see how we claimed the highs of last Monday and we got the dump. So claiming the lows of the range would be kind of the perfect scenario, right? Just get a flush of longs, reset the market, and then continue, you know, the possibility of an uptrend to claim the highs in the next coming days. That would be the ideal scenario, right? So we understand it's a liquidity game. We do have a you know, analysis that does, you know, suggest that ABC flat to sweep up the lows below $100,000 would be the ideal scenario for that flat, ABC flat, and then create one more high. The thing is, a running flat is definitely possible still, especially as we are holding the value area low of this trading zone. So we got a little scalp long trade setup here, guys. Okay, it can be a little bit aggressive, but I would be willing to take it. If we form a cheeky higher low here at the 0.88, I would be interested in that long of the break of the trend. And I think sweeping up these highs of today is going to be the target zone. It's only a movement of $700-800 depending on your entry, but a break of trend here would be an option without a doubt, with stop loss beneath the low. Just realizing that what we want to see is a 3-wave structure if we do get continuation to the downside, right? This looks very one-wavy. So as we move down very aggressively, we got one little wave to the 236 Fibonacci, and Very, very shallow pullback, very one wavy. And what we want to see is some kind of a three-wave structure here. So we're considering this small little scalp long position on the break of trend, which could be interesting. Anybody that shorted over here on the highs, very good, very good. I mean, it is aggressive. You're not seeing any weakness just yet. You know, these are not easy shorts. We had a few January lower highs to have as a guideline, as a possible SFP level. But I have to say, it was pretty aggressive to get into the short. But your stop loss is just above the high of the wick. We just ever so slightly tapped the last one. Not even getting above it, $50. I think it's just on the dollar that we tapped that lower high. Which, we always realize that an SFP from these highs is definitely an option. So whoever got into that short trade from higher is in a very good position right now, right? Because you can basically be defensive, be protective. Would have been nice to get a little bit of choppiness, as mentioned yesterday. But overall, a fast move after another liquidity grab was definitely an option. So let's see who got into that long trade, into that short trade, sorry. Not long. Long trades are closed. I'd still have a little bit of that long trade, which most of the profits have been taken. Okay, most of the profits have been taken from that long trade. Almost got stopped out here. Almost tapped the take profit zone. And that's the cheeky short. Very defensive on the move down. I just didn't want to miss the chance of the price getting below $100,000 based on the analysis that we've been talking about the last few days, right? I ain't going to talk about the short and miss the short. I did say that I'm going to be sleeping and I'll probably, miss that short position. But early this morning, we were trading around this zone. Want to get into the small position, stop loss near the highs. Just realizing about that movement down. Anyway, let's go right away through the comment section. New York Open in the next 30 minutes, 28 minutes, guys. Remember, you do have BTCC, you do have weeks, great exchanges. On weeks, you get very nice bonuses, okay? You got 20% deposit bonus, 25% fee reduction, more than $30,000 in reward bonuses. Check out weeks down below, guys, because, it's a great exchange. You got the fourth link, which is Bluffin. Bluffin also only need an email and a password, guys. You do get $300 deposit bonus just by depositing $2K, guys, on Bluffin. So check out Bluffin. You got massive rewards with very small deposit. Check out the links down below, legends, okay, to trade on these platforms, which only require an email and a password. No VPN needed. Let's go, Deviled. I missed the short, was sleeping. I got into the cheeky short, okay? It's not part of my strategy to FOMO into a short on the rejection if I did not catch a good SFP level. But I just realized the potential of the price dumping down below $100,000 based on the analysis that we've been talking, right? I did say yesterday, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to miss the short, guys. I'm sure that I am. And I don't want to put a limit order because I don't know if we're going to break to all-time high. It would be rare for the price to break above all-time high based on the different scenarios that we mentioned yesterday, regardless of the bullish one, which was the triangle, or they flat. We were just saying, we're very likely going to top out here at the $107,000 range, give or take 108, 106, right? It's just going to be a wiki level, and you just need to manage your risk. But eventually this happened just after midnight my time, around about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and just a few hours later, I had to kind of FOMO into the short, right? Just as a swing trade strategy, right? Because if this were to be a scalp trade, there's no way in a million years that I would enter that short. But this is taking into consideration the massive resistance that we have in the value area high And, you know, we moved up in a 5-wave structure. Could this be the end of the 5th wave? Could we get a larger pullback in the next coming days? You know, it's a swing shorting level, that is for sure. It's worth the chance at this zone to get into a swing short that might last a few weeks. So it doesn't really matter your entry if it's at 106 or 105. If the price were to go down to the mid 90K levels, you just want to be in a position, right? So yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I don't want to miss it. We've been talking about this for the last week. You know, the short trades that we mentioned, you know, got stopped out at break even with the rest of the position. That both of the short trades, we did take some profits. They were more as a short scalp. The latest short position was on Tuesday, which was hitting the 7/8 Fibonacci. Of course, you know, got stopped out with the rest of the position with that pump that we had. So, you know, no longer in that short. And you know, very important to take some profits, especially when we realized the bullish case, which was bouncing from here. Anyway, let's see if we do get that break of trend here, because it might give us a little long scalp all the way up. I mean, we do have VWAP. Yeah, it makes sense to get glued to the VWAP in the next coming hours. If we do manage to break this trend, it does make sense. This would only be a little scalp long position, just looking for the VWAP to get revisited, form a 3-wave structure. Let's see if we do get the break of trend here, just for a little scalp, understanding that the price could move in a 3-wave move, right? Or a double bottom, could be aggressive. ABC flat here before continuing to the downside would be a possible option in my opinion. So a local double bottom here would make sense. It is the value area low of this entire trading zone. Well, we kind of lost the value area low. I mean, I wouldn't say that this is lost, because we're getting the bounce and we're getting the choppiness. But as you can see here, we do have the point of control of the entire range and the VWAP. This is going to be a tough nut to crack, right? It might crack it. It might get the resistance, but a kind of a double bottom here would be an interesting scenario. Either break of trend and look for that 3-wave structure. Then we'll see how we react here. But get that break of trend at least. Or a double bottom, sweep up the lows, ABC flat. And it's only a scalp all the way up here to the point of control. Basically sweep up the lower highs. Very, very valid long setup here, I see. If we do double bottom, if we don't double bottom and we break down, then we just continue in here. The major collapse, okay? We need to double bottom. We need to form a wick for that entry point. It's going to be a little bit of a sniper, okay? They're always good for risk management because your stop loss is literally a baby. It's like really small, and they usually provide the larger risk rewards. Double tops and double bottoms usually give you that good risk to reward ratio, right? Where your stop loss is like a 1/5 of your take profit zone, depending on your entry, right? This would be your reward. This would be your stop loss. And if the price breaks down from the local low of today, then we just let it go. We could be going down to the, you know, sub 100K, 101, 100K levels. Not really much of a trading zone here in between the lows of last Thursday and the lows of today. If we do not double bottom and come up to the highs, I would not be interested in being in a long here. You know, this could really reclaim this low or even this low. It would be a no trading zone for me unless we double bottom, right? So let's see what happens. Whoever got into a short either late last night or early this morning, very good indeed. It's the kind of short that you want to have open for the next coming days, at least till you dip below $100,000, right? Because it could be a swing short. It could, we don't know how aggressive the pullback can be, but it's definitely a pullback in zone, right? And yeah, I mean, without a doubt, You know, it just makes sense for the price to kind of pull back somewhere in this region, right? Based on the structure that we formed over the last few weeks. Very 5-wavy, you know, a nice healthy correction in this range for the next coming weeks would make sense. So just looking at the higher time frame picture, guys, I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day, right? Just be defensive with your trading strategy. You know, I think it does make sense on the higher time frame picture that a larger pullback is very much a possibility. I am still leaning on the scenario of taking out these highs, guys. So I would be a little bit defensive. You know, I've put stop loss at break even. I'm not going to take the chance. Understanding the flat or the running flat here, right? The flat or the running flat. I think there's two options for this scenario. I don't like this high. It's a poor high, even though it's double topped and it's claimed the liquidity. It's a poor high when we take a look at the structure. Just because we haven't moved impulsively, I don't like it for it to be the high. I'm in the short. If we move lower, I'm happy. The longs have taken all of the profits from the long position, most of them, not all of them, about 80%, as explained yesterday from the long setup, guys. We're taking profit at the highs, right? And interested in a short. I'm interested in a short right now. So as mentioned the last few days, but we just weren't quite ready for the short in this area the last few days. Shorting here, yes. Value area high in the 0.88. Shorting here, absolutely. We talked about the setup also on YouTube. And the latest one being this one a few days ago, 3 days ago, to look for possibly the highs to be claimed. And you want to get out. If you don't get out at the highs almost completely, take most of the profit, then you're going to be ending up with the price almost at your entry, which is basically what is happening right now for me on the long, which I've taken most of the profits already. So it's going to get stopped out at break even. But imagine having a long position a few days ago and not taking the profits at the highs. We need to follow the waves and realize where we need to take profit. And this was a obvious take profit zone for anybody that was long in here. There's no swing longs here to be taken, that is for sure. It would have been lucky if we would have got to all-time highs, right? Imagine breaking out here and going to $115,000. It was an unlikely scenario. All of the scenarios that we were talking about, regardless the flat or the triangle, which we were looking for a 5-wave move up to get the choppiness here and move down, they were most of the scenarios, right? We didn't have a bullish scenario of breaking to all-time high and going to $115,000. You know, we haven't had this scenario in the last few days. All of the scenarios were leaning for topping out before all-time high on the triangle breakout or on the ABC flat. You know, there was no all-time high scenario, even though it was fun to ask in the poll yesterday, because we did actually get a lot of all-time high votes yesterday. It was pretty crazy. I think 60% of the people that were watching the stream yesterday, 60% were saying we are heading to all-time high as we were pumping into this resistance, right? Up to the highs of last Monday. Most people were saying all-time high, 60%, still most, then actually going down below 100K. We are only $2,300 away now from 100K, and I've asked the same question from yesterday, where 60% of the people were calling for all-time high as we were hitting the highs of last Monday. Let's see the poll. Let's see the votes. Make sure to get your votes in right now, guys. What do you see? Sub 100K or all-time high? And today, we're actually getting 57% of sub 100K. Yeah, pretty interesting, right? We move with the price action, right? If it's pumping all-time high. If it's dumping, yeah, we're going to go below 100K now. So there is that possibility of actually missing out from hitting sub 100K based on the running flat. I mean, right, which would be this one. I mean, they're usually rare. They are usually rare. I would say that it would make more sense to sweep up the lows and actually manage to get below $100,000. I mean, it's a liquidity game. There's lots of liquidity here. So it would make sense for that scenario, okay? And I'm just... Very interesting level to get supported is this order block with the 50% Fibonacci from this pump. Okay, considering the flat 99.5K zone, and we know $100,000 is that round psychological, right, 6-digit barrier. So it is a psychological support, and it is also with the 1.618 extension. Considering this low or this low, it doesn't matter. Targets are very similar, right? 1.618 extension with the order block. Yeah, this is a bouncing level without a doubt. I would expect a reaction zone here. I would be interested in a long. Once we get down here, we're gonna have to check the reaction. But there's a lot of confluence. You got nice order block. You're sweeping up the lows of the range, which is what we need. And we have a flat, very nice, beautiful flat where we have a three wave. And that is the most common target zone, right? The 1.618 extension, which is sitting where we have this order block. So, you know, what makes a lot of sense is for the price to find a reaction here, regardless if it's going to be a little bit of choppiness and then bounce, or a little bit of choppiness, a little bounce, and then maybe down. The reaction is very likely here, just slightly below 100K. So the running flat is also an option. Now it's funny to see a lot of people saying, you know, this is bearish. This is bearish. Lots of people shorting, including myself. You know, congratulations who got into the short at higher levels. I didn't. I was sleeping. But I just didn't want to miss the potential larger correction, right? Whoever shorted late last night or early this morning, wherever you are, you know, we got a possible little scalp long position here. Okay, there might be a little scalp long. I don't like this long just yet. Yeah, I am very much aware of a 3-wave move. Kind of get a 3-wave mover here. But I'm also aware of sweeping up the lows, and that's where I would put my stop loss if I entered here. I would not want to put a stop loss too far away if I'm risking more than what I can take profit from. So I'm going to either wait for the trend break, and without a doubt, VWAP and point of control is going to be the target zone to get out, and maybe consider the short, even though I'm in a short already, but it might be a day trade short where, you know, we're going to struggle here. If we do struggle, I would be looking for another leg down. We've got the point of control of the range, the VWAP. Let's see, it might break through. Interesting to see some people ever so slightly bearish right now in the poll in the comment section. What stop loss? 97K is my target, says Suzanne. I like it. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? The price has moved pretty aggressively to the downside. My goodness, I got this messy chart right now. Let me just clean up the chart. The price has moved down pretty aggressively, and it's double topped. This, for the eyes of the viewer, right? For me and you, for the retail guys, me and you, legends, right? We can see retail comment right now, the poll. What comes next for Bitcoin? Well, yeah, sub $100,000, right? We double topped. Most are going to believe, right? The majority, right? La gran mayoría, they are going to believe that this is, you know, a double top and a larger pullback is very, very likely, at least to below $100,000, give or take 98, 97. It's you know, it's very, very, well, of course we're going to see this, right? Most of the people are going to see this double top. Most of the people are going to see the double top. It's time for Bitcoin to get a larger pullback, right? Because of the pump that we had in the last few months, a few weeks, not months. It's time for the pullback, right? It is time for a larger pullback. Because it's double topped. I mean, this is something, we got lots of shorts building up. I mean, I don't blame them. I don't blame the shorts that have been getting in the last, you know, 20 hours, or give or take 15, 20 hours. I don't blame the shorts. I'm in that short as well. It just makes sense, right? Who got into a short position, guys? Let me know in the comment section. Yesterday, we were looking for a bit more of choppiness here, I have to say. It would be nice to get a bit of choppiness, but it was relatively fast, and it actually peaked out at 107. It didn't manage to reach 108. But overall, very much aware of that aggressive move down. Let me know in the comment section, did anybody short the market in the last 10 hours, right, at higher levels? Let me know right away. Yeah, could be true. I had a very nice short at 106,200. Have still open, says Suzanne. Absolutely epic, Suzanne. Nice short. Now, just waiting for a pullback to my long target, says Falco. Okay, people not interested in shorting, of course, in a bull market. We are in bull market, right? Shorts need to be very selective. You need to be very defensive. We got a long little scalp here that, you know, might happen right now if we do break the trend. Just to sweep up the highs. It's a movement of $700-800 maybe if we do break this downtrend, just because we do have bullish CVD divergence, I have to say. There is some pretty nice bullish CVDs across the exchanges. Also on Bybit. Bybit has the most aggressive bullish CVDs. Lots of shorts entering on Bybit the last hour. The last couple of hours, actually. And we're still forming a higher low, right? Higher low and very aggressive lower lows. Lots of shorts entering right now, which their stop losses are above the local highs. So if we do break trend here, which, you know, I do think there is a chance, we got a little long scalp potential. Little long scalp potential to hit those highs. Lots of shorts entering here on Bybit. We got 10 million here, 9.4, 8.3. Bullish CVD divergence. Still forming a higher low. Yeah, we definitely got that chance in the next hour or so to sweep up those lower highs of today. That would be the most obvious trade. But of course, if this is a B wave, B waves can be a flat, right? You can sweep up the lows. So the best option is either wait for the double bottom or wait for the break of trend here to form that zigzag move. Either a three-wave structure, right, and then drop, or, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, this was actually the low of the running flat, which is definitely an option. It's definitely an option that this could be the lower. I'm not supporting that scenario. I do think that we do go lower. That's, you know, my opinion. Running flats are rare. They are rare, but it is a possibility, right? A running flat is definitely a scenario. Running flat target has already been hit by a mile, which is the 0.618. Yeah, running flat has already been hit. The minimum target, which is the 0.618. 50% 0.618 actually. But most commonly, you do get down to the 1.618 extension. Yeah. 1.618 extension here, guys. It's a major internal support, local support level. You got the order block here, 1.618 extension for the possible target of the flat, and it's also 50% Fibonacci from the movement. So there's some pretty nice Fibonacci confluence just below 100k, 99.5k zone. Kind of a very nice level indeed. Anyway, price is a bit choppy. We got the New York Open in 5 minutes, so we might be seeing a little bit of volatility. Shall we take a look at Ethereum to look for a setup? Dollar index getting the resistance from the value area low of the last few years. Very nice indeed. Let's see dollar index. I do expect lower in the next coming months for the dollar index eventually after this bounce. Let's take a look at the ES, see what's going on. Do we have a CME gap? I haven't even checked, guys. I haven't checked because I don't really trade CME gaps. They could provide resistance or support, but with that volatility from yesterday, let's get the stock market here on the 1 hourly to check the volatility. Let's take a look at the BTC CME gap. I haven't even checked because I really don't care. But just for the sake of it, hang on a minute. This is the Bitcoin dominance. Did we form a gap or not? I know people love gaps. Oh, yeah, yeah, that gap was already filled. Was that the gap? Yeah, this was the gap. No gap. Not interested. Let me know, guys. I'm going to go through the comment section right now. I think there's a local little scalp if we break trend. I'm going to keep it simple, just because it would make sense to form a 3-wave structure with bullish CVD divergence. Anybody that wants to get along here right now, it's on you. I'm going to wait for the trend break. Okay, going to be better safe than sorry, right? Better safe than sorry. Get a little confirmation to see if we can form that 3-wave structure at least to claim the lower highs of today, where we do have the VWAP, and the VWAP is a magnet, right? VWAP is a magnet. So let's see if that volume weighted average price can get the magnet here of the price, which is where we have the point of control also of this range. But let's see if we do get that trend break now in the next coming minutes. Very possible to give us that confirmation. It's on stock market open, so it's going to be a little bit tricky. We got the stock market open right now, and hopefully we ain't going to get a dump in pump, a pump in dump, or dump in pump. Probably going to get that start of volatility right now in 2 minutes, as we do have the stock market open. Let's put NASDAQ here to see the stock market. Massive rally on the stock market, guys. This is without a doubt. S&P 500 looks much better as a V shape. I'm leaning for new all-time highs on the stock market in the next coming months. I mean, obviously a pullback would make sense, but all of this looks corrective. You got a 3-wave move to the downside, which has extremely overlapped for this to be some kind of an impulsive move down. So it looks pretty good for the stock market to reach new all-time highs in the next coming months. High probability that all of this is going to be corrective. I mean, we already V-shaped here, literally, right? We got that open in the next minute. Let's take a look at the comment section. Yeah, me too, I have to say, right? This is why, this is why we're considering the flat, right? The running flat even, or sweeping up the lows, but a running flat is definitely possible. You have a 3-wave move down here, sideways, WXY, another 3-wave move up throughout the weekend, from Thursday to the weekend, a sharp drop for a running flat, and now the price is going to come up to the highs, right? I don't think so. That's going to happen. But, you know, somebody said here, I feel YouTubers are looking at... I haven't checked because I really don't care. Legend. Yeah, I'm not... Everybody knows about me and the CME futures gap, right? I don't give a damn about CME futures gap. It's just a waste of time. Of course, they could provide support and resistance, but I don't care if it gets filled today or tomorrow or any of that. But they do provide support and resistance, that's for sure. Long or short, I'll tell you what, if we break this trend, I'm going to look for a possible long scalp all the way up to 103,500, give or take. But we just got the New York Open right now. I don't want, don't trust the New York Open. If it pumps, then you're looking for a dump. If it dumps, then you're probably looking for a pump. I just don't trust New York Open. Let's see what NASDAQ is doing here. With the Open, it is getting a bit of a pump. Nice little pump on NASDAQ after sweeping up the lows of the week. You know what they say, when the Open is pumping, expect a dump later on, right? So yeah, let's see if we do manage to break this trend. And that is all the pure speculation of forming a three-wave structure. But I need that break of trend here. I need a bit of volume. And then I would say that, yeah, we're probably going to get that reversal all the way up here to the highs. But for the moment, downtrending. A double bottom is an option. Liquidity grab. Just going to wait, guys. You know, something's going to happen. You know, you either break down, then no long. If you wick down beneath the low, I would be interested in the sniper long. Stop loss beneath the low. Very small stop loss. And then look for the price to claim the highs of today. This is the kind of movement that I'm looking for, right? With the low being hit or the not, it doesn't matter. Break of trend, hit the highs. Let's see if we do break the trend here with a bit of volume. And that's all with the theory of looking for a three-wave structure. It would make sense to form a three-wave structure here for a, internal ABC, right? ABC right there. At least a three-wave structure. Could it break out and form an impulse as it's formed a higher low? Maybe. But it's, we're just waiting for the break of trend here. Or sweep up the low, and I'm looking for a double bottom for a possible internal flat. Trend break or double bottom. Let's see. If it breaks down, there's no long. If it breaks down very aggressively and you do not maintain the lows of today, there's no long. If we break trend, a little attempt can be an option. Pretty aggressive low. Stop loss is going to be a little bit of an issue. Risk to reward is not going to be too massive on the possible break of trend. Want to be cautious on fake outs here as well. Want to be a little bit cautious on the fake out. The bullish CVD divergence are there. Lots of shorts on Bybit. So yeah, it does look like that we could get that bounce. Yeah, we're just about to break trend right now. I would be targeting at least the VWAP, which is sitting at the highs. Yeah, stock market is pumping quite nicely. For now, stock market is pumping quite nicely, giving a little bit of bullish momentum. We are attempting to break that trend, and the target zone for this, which we are going to be having a little bit of resistance, is the VWAP and the point of control of this entire range, right? Would make sense. It is a little bit of a double bottom with a higher low. I hate these. I hate this, and at least for the moment, there's no trend break. But yeah, to catch this higher low is . 'Cause, 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 ' I don't like this. When you dip below the 0.88, yeah, it's very, very hard. I would rather look for the double bottom. Sweep up the low and enter the trade. Stop loss at the low. Look for the highs or break the trend, which is still not happening. Still no trend break, unfortunately. And this is just for a local scalp, right? Just to have something locally. Higher time frames look very interesting. Higher time frames, doors look very interesting. If we were to break down in the next coming hours, the best level of support beneath the lows of the range of last week is 99.5k zone. Order block. You have the possible expanding ABC flat. I don't like this high. I don't like this high at all. It doesn't look like a top. I think a lot of people are flipping bearish right now. A lot of people are flipping bearish. And as someone said a lot of YouTubers are expecting sub 100k. I guess that has to be bullish, right? I do see the running flat potential. I also see this a possibility, but a running flat is definitely a scenario. Okay, it's definitely possible. Are we pumping right now? We're breaking trend, so yeah, that's a little bit of a... Are we attempting to break trend here? Let me just zoom in on the lower time frame. Yeah, it is breaking, guys, so that's a little long setup. Stop loss beneath the last higher lows, and I would be targeting the highs here. The VWAP and the highs of today. I wouldn't go too crazy. Could be a fake out. It would make sense for a three-wave structure, at least to sweep up the lower highs of today. Let's take a look at the got some, yeah, we don't have any bearish CVD divergence for the moment, which is good. We got some pretty intense bullish CVD divergence, especially on Bybit. Got lots of shorts entering the market here in the last few hours, which is good. It's good to get that squeeze at least to the highs here. It's good to at least get that squeeze up here to these highs. Let's see if we can get that push. And stock market doesn't ruin the party. Stock market is pumping, so that's good. We don't want to see it dumping. So let's see if we do get that squeeze. Everything points out that Bitcoin could be hitting that $103,500. Let's get that breakout. Let's get that squeeze all the way to these levels. We got the bullish CVDs. We don't have bearish CVDs, which is good. Just yet. Let's see if we squeeze out and continue pumping. Just a little scalp here to hit these highs. We're breaking trend. Would make sense. We got the VWAP and the point of control. So anybody that, you know, getting into this trend breakout, let's squeeze out here. This is a take profit zone without a doubt. Okay. Take profit zone as soon as we sweep those highs. Let's go Bitcoin. Push, 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 push. Let's stop out those Bybit shorts here, because there's been a lot of, you know, there's been some really nice bullish CVDs here. Let's see if we can squeeze out. Stock market is helping. Stock market is helping here with the pump. Currently getting a little bit of resistance from this little wall here. Vamos, 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 vamos. Little double bottom. or a zigzag. That is the idea here. Little double bottom or a zigzag. That is the idea here, to see if we can sweep up the lower highs of today. I don't like when the stock market opens with a pump. I think most of the people have been bearish though throughout the news coming out yesterday, right? About China, new tariffs and rest of it. I didn't even pay attention to it, but I had that feeling that a lot of people were starting to become, they had a little bit of bearishness. That's why we did get that dump on Bitcoin, right? Also because of the resistance, we don't have to, you know, the resistance and the rejection was definitely there. We talked about the very likely scenario of rejecting from here, either in the ABC flat or forming a 5-wave structure at the $107,000 levels. And of course it's news related. I think I did see some news regarding, you know, the new tariffs and rest of it. This is why we dropped. Come on, let's see if we get that extra push to 103.5k. And let's go through the comment section. Say hello to the beautiful community. What's going on? 745 watching, only 100. Wait a minute. This cannot be true. This cannot be true. 170, 200 likes. Let's go, legends. Come on, let's get that like button to at least 300. I'm going to take a hike. And when I come back, I want to see that like button absolutely exploding. We might do a giveaway. If we do get, let's keep it realistic. Realistic targets. 600 likes. We're going to do a $500 giveaway. $500 giveaway. We might do that. Why not? We're giving out the money. Let's go. Let's get to 600 likes. I'm a man of word. You know it. But I need to see that 600 likes, guys. We'll give $500 US tether instantly on a comment section. Love your analysis. Learning a lot. Thank you so much. Love from India. We got somebody from India here. God bless you, dear. Have a great day. Isha, much love to you, brother. Long at 102,600. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Kind of the break of trend, right? Break of trend. Let's see. We want to see that price of Bitcoin getting that squeeze. Andy, buy or sell? The trend breakout was the option here. I want to see it following through here. I don't want to see it, you know, dancing around. I don't want to see it dancing around. I want to see that follow through, just because we are considering that if the price has moved down here very aggressively, and this was the bounce to move down aggressively, the corrective move was shallow, hitting the 236 Fibonacci. And it's very one wavy, right? It is very one wavy. Very one wavy here. We're struggling here at this order block. Price is struggling at this order block. Let's see if we do see follow through. For the moment, stock market is behaving. No major pullback just yet. Yeah, I think we do have a high chance in getting all the way up here to 103,500. At least get to that VWAP. At least get that push to these lower highs. We've got lots of bullish CVDs here. Let's get that squeeze up. Come on, Bitcoin. Let's go right away. We're going to do a bit of higher time frame as Bitcoin tries to move up here. As always, great analysis of the chart. Dorian, much love to you. Top blasted in November. Down shit lived. Okay. yeah, I mean, whoever shorted, I had to say, I shorted late this morning. My short is it's a crap short, okay? I have to say. Short is crap. But I had to get into some kind of a short after seeing this rejection. I was concerned of missing this move to the downside to, you know, below 102, 101k levels. So the entry was not the best. Got a little scalp long. Let's see if we can push here to those highs. Come on, Bitcoin. It's pushing through. I would be concerned of this being the low, guys. It is the value area low of this trading range, and it is holding. We formed a little bit of a double bottom at the moment with a slightly higher low. Big barrier here at 103.6, 103.5 is a big barrier here of resistance. I do see us sweeping up those highs. Point of control and the VWAP. Let's get above those lower highs so we can take some profits on that long position of the trend breakout. Stock market behaving, hopefully. Oof. Yeah. We don't want to see a major drop. Let's go. 400 likes, guys. If we do get to 600 likes, we're doing a giveaway. Let's go through the comment section. Let's go through the comment section and say hello to the beautiful community. I'll literally, if this trade goes to profit, hopefully it does, I'm actually going to let's see if we do get that continuation of the pump here. Hopefully we do get that pump to sweep up those lower highs. Let's see. 103, 450. 103, 450. More or less about that zone. 102, sorry, my bad. 102, 103, 450. Give or take. Let's get that squeeze up. Come on, Bitcoin, get that squeeze. Claim those lower highs like a boss. Stop out all of those short positions that have got into the market late. And if we do, let's see if we do get those lower highs. Just a little movement of $700. Come on, don't get me a lower high right now. Let's go. Get that push. Claim those highs. Come on. I think we're going to manage to squeeze through here. We're going to manage to squeeze through. Come on. Let's go. Hitting that 0.88 fib. Hitting this consolidation at the moment. .88 Fibonacci, always there to ruin the party. Classic from the 0.88. 0.88 is always there to ruin the party, as always. Let's go. Let's go through comment section and say hello to the beautiful community as we get that like button absolutely getting destroyed. As we get that extra push. Come on, Bitcoin. We don't want to see that pullback on the stock market, which has got a really nice pump. This is what is concerning about stock market opening and getting this epic pump. I think we had that bearish news yesterday, and people concerned about the stock market, and we got Bitcoin dump, stock market dump, and because it was bearish news, well, eventually bearish news affects the stock market in a bullish way when it opens, right? So you get lots of people shorting the market and being very bearish, and the stock market gets an epic pump because we had bad news yesterday, right? So don't listen to the news, guys. News is just going to mess your head, right? This was all tariffs and nonsense last week of March and first week of April. They were just messing with us, guys. They were just messing with us. I did not buy any Bitcoin, but I did not sell any Bitcoin. I actually sold a bit of Bitcoin here throughout the last couple of weeks, guys, I have to say. But just so I can get into swing trade positions. I actually regretted not selling a bit of more Bitcoin when we were trading down here at 70-80K zone. I actually regretted because I did sell 10% of my portfolio, and I did sell a little bit more up here, guys. Just so I can have a little bit of more capital. Not all of my Bitcoin. I will never sell all of my Bitcoin. Never. When's the top for Bitcoin, right? Is it going to be 120, 130, $200,000 per Bitcoin? I'll make sure that I do still hold some of my Bitcoin, so we can, well, you know, you want to have always Bitcoin. You never know. We might enter a super cycle and go to $500,000, right? You just never know. Sky's the limit for Bitcoin sometimes. But I've been buying Bitcoin since 2018 and selling some Bitcoin just to get into some bigger positions as well when, you know, looking for swing trading setups. We're pumping. Let's take out those highs already. 103,450, 103,500 is the internal target zone. Stock market probably getting a little reaction here. At the golden pocket, almost reaching golden pocket. Could be expecting a little reaction here at golden pocket on the stock market. Let's go through comment section, see what the legends are saying. Nice little scalp, almost hitting those highs. There we go. Almost about to hit those highs. Let's see if we do break out the VWAP. Trend break. Here we go. Let's see the 1-to-1 or the 1236 extension, which is actually sitting around about the VWAP and that point of control. Looks like we're going to get that little push up. Let's go. Almost on some exchanges, we are hitting those highs. I don't like every trend breakout, I have to say. However, this trend break made a bit of sense just because the pullback from this drop was very shallow, only hitting the 236 Fibonacci. And it was very one wavy, right? And what you want to see after a major move down, you really want to see some kind of a three wave, either in a zigzag or a complex sideways corrective move or a flat, right? You want to see some kind of a three wave structure. So this trend breakout made sense to actually form that zigzag, or maybe a 1, 2, 3. and it absolutely rockets. It's still a higher low. It's still a higher low, even though it hit the 0.88 fib. It would be rare to form a wave 3 here, but we ain't going to say it's impossible. It's definitely possible, but unlikely in my opinion. And we got a lot of resistance here at the 103.5, 103.8 zone, right? Give or take. Point of control, VWAP. Yeah, it's going to claim those highs, very likely now. Probably going to squeeze up. I just made over 400 likes. If we get to 600, I am going to give out the entire profits of this scalp. We'll leave some open. There we go. We got the push. We got the push. We're going to start hitting this resistance right now on Bitcoin. Let's see how we react here at this zone. It could follow through. Just about to hit the VWAP and the point of control of the range. Anybody that got into that scalp long of the break of trend, you know, should be taking profits. It's a small little move. Just enough to make a few gains. Just enough to make a few gains on that little scalp. Looks like it wants to push a little bit more. Let's see how we react here. It could leave some open. Could leave some open of that long trade trend break. Because you might just fly above the point of control and the VWAP, right? We might not even get a reaction here. And the price is going to moon. So, but definitely would take some profits at the highs here. Very likely going to get a little bit of a reaction, possible rejection at the highs right now. So the question is right now for me is, do we get an ABC movement? Let's just change color here. Do we get an ABC movement here? A flat, and then we continue to the downside, or do we get an impulse, right? It's still a higher low, so it could be a higher low. We form 3, boom, 4, 5, and it just surprises us, right? And we break resistance. I would say that the ABC makes more sense instead of this scenario. Instead of this scenario, I think the ABC starts struggling here at the VWAP and the point of control. I mean, this is a zone where a lot of people want to get into shorts, don't get me wrong. So I do think that we can wick a little bit higher. I'm not too interested right now as we're pumping. Yeah, taking most of the profits here on this little short scalp trade. We are getting that reaction at the highs. Not much of a movement here, guys, but if we do get to $600 too, if we do get to 600 likes, I am literally going to give all of the profits from this scalp, which is just $500. So closed most of the position of this scalp. $500 will be for a giveaway. This scalp is for the community. If we do get to 600 likes, if we get to 600 likes, we've claimed the highs, trend break. Not much of a risk to reward, I have to say. Almost a 2-to-1, almost 1-to-1, 1.5 to 1 if you got onto the trend break. But I'm out of that position. We're getting the reaction. So it's just a little internal scalp. So those profits entirely are going to go to somebody if we do get 600 likes, guys. Let's get that like button absolutely destroyed, because I will be giving that $500 from this internal scalp to a lucky winner. That scalp trade that we mentioned on the break. I'm going to give those $500 profit from this little scalp to a lucky winner. So make sure to destroy the like button. Guys, remember that Weeks does have that insane bonus, okay, of 20% deposit. You got also up to $30,000 in deposit rewards, okay? So the more volume that you move, the more airdrops that you're going to get to increase your capital. And you got 25% fee reduction as well with the first link down below in the description, guys. Take advantage because you only get these exclusive perks with the first link down below, guys. You only need an email and a password to sign up to Weeks. So let's get that $500 given to somebody in the comment section as soon as we hit 600 likes. Free money, guys. $500. It's going to be instantly transferred on the stream, right? I'll make somebody a moderator if we do get to 600 likes. My like button, man, doesn't work. Does not work. We're almost at 500. Smash the like. Like legends, we can hit 700 likes. Let's go. What is liquidity? Superb analysis. Thank you very much. If I'm from India, 105 at least. I'm still in that cheeky lot. I'm not interested in a short here, guys. Just realizing the higher low. This is classic. We at the VWAP and the point of control. Lots want to short right over here on the pump. Lots of people want to short here on the pump, and it could break out, right? And you might think you took profits too early. Well, I'm still in a smaller long position. I didn't get stopped out. This was from the other day. I'm still have a little bit of that long that almost got stopped out. So if this is going to be a running flat, still holding some of that long. If we break out from VWAP here and from the point of control in a very aggressive pump, I don't think it's going to happen, but it could. You still form a higher low here. If we do break out like very aggressively and we start consolidating here and we form a 5-wave structure, I would say that we're probably going to come back up to the highs of yesterday. Even though it doesn't look like, it looks like an epic double top, right? But if we break out solidly here and we form a 5-wave structure internally, I would say, guys, maybe this is the ABC flat. Running flat right there. I don't like this high to be the high. It just doesn't look right. We don't have a proper impulsive move up. So, yeah, we want to be a little bit cautious here. Let's see how we break out from here. And if we break out and then consolidate and we get another move, we got a 5-wave, right? If we come back down to retest the point of control and the VWAP after forming a very similar structure to this, we formed a higher low here. I mean, this is being a little bit optimistic, right? This is bringing a little bit of hope for the bulls out there. I don't think it's going to be the scenario. I think the price getting exhausted here and maybe start rolling down aggressively. I think it looks like, you know, the highest chance in my opinion. But let's see. Let's see. Let's go through comment section. 104,200 is good to close my short. 104,200. Oh, you got into a short. Close long, do you mean, or short? Yeah, we said 103,500 basically. It's a small little scalp. I mean, it was just a movement to get to the VWAP. The VWAP is providing resistance at the moment and sweeping up this high. I'm not sure if you're talking about a short or a long. 104, 200. Yeah, I think you mean the long. If you got onto the long breakout here, it's only a movement of $700 on the price, but you're hitting the resistance highs right now. So anybody that got into this long position, you're hitting VWAP, you're hitting point of control, you're sweeping up the lower high of today. We're getting a reaction. You know, what else do you want, right? To decide to take the profits. I got out of this scalp instantly since we hit the highs. If we were to go to higher levels, it doesn't matter, right? It's getting a reaction. It was only a scalp. The level, level to level trading, right? If you're in a scalp, it's not a swing trade. It's not a day trade. It's You're in at the breakout, you're out at the highs, especially with this reaction and the amount of resistance that we have. You need to keep it. If we were to move up here, would I say, oh, I should have left the long position open? No, it's a scalp. You need to be, when you're scalping, you're scalping. When you're swing trading, you're swing trading. When you're day trading, you trade. When you have other targets and other scenarios. But this was only a scalp, little movement, and we already getting that rejection. So yeah, should be out. I'm out completely from that position. And maybe a lucky winner today, if we get above 600 likes, we'll get that airdrop. Well, I'll do that transfer of the $500 of this scalp. Let's go through higher time frames. Getting a little bit bored right now. We are at the VWAP. A little bit aggressive. You can always treat VWAP as a SFP zone. It's still a shallow pullback, I have to say, from the highs of yesterday to the lows. We still haven't hit the 382 Fibonacci. Yeah. Wouldn't be too confident here for this to be the flat and then breakdown, which it definitely could. It definitely could. This be a regular flat. You got point of control and the VWAP, and then price rolls down. Especially with the stock market pumping, it would make sense for stock market to get. The stock market is not stopping, huh? Stock market is just taking the rally here. Nasdaq is doing awesome. Nasdaq pumped just today. Yeah, over 1% with this pump in the last few hours. So that's going to help Bitcoin to attempt to go to higher levels. That's for sure. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this level for a short, guys. I don't like it for a short. And the main reason why is we haven't even retraced to the 382 Fibonacci from this drop. And this is extremely shallow to get continuation down. You know, you would want to see at least a little bit of an attempt to break out here. Value area high, 50% Fibonacci. If we do get bearish CVD divergence, lots of longs entering the market here on this pump, then it might be interesting. But shorting here is for me not an option, even though we're getting a reaction. No, not an option here for me for a short. Even though it's resistance, right? It's the VWAP, it's the point of control. But when you understand the structure, it doesn't make sense to get rejected here. It doesn't make sense to get rejected here when you've bounced at the value area low, you formed a double bottom, and this pullback has only hit the 236 Fibonacci. It's like, yeah, would I expect this? Or would I expect actually an attempt to go to higher levels? And then maybe, you know, get the movement down. There is that possibility for this to be a running flat, eh, legends? I know a lot of people are actually bearish right now. Even on the poll, we did ask, what comes next? All-time high, 44% of people, and sub 100K says 56% of people say sub 100K. Yesterday, we did the same poll, and it was 60% of people saying all-time high when we were trading above $106,000, right? Well, 105, yeah, almost 106. People were screaming for all-time high here. People down here, there's more, not many. I mean, there's lots of bulls out there. But more percentage all-time high here, more percentage sub 100K, which is very interesting to see, right? You can see how the price action locally really affects the emotions of the people, right? It's pretty nice to do these polls. It's pretty cool to see, right? More people interested in all-time high here, we get the dump to the lows of the range, and more interested people in sub 100K, right? Which is not too far away. Maybe right now with this bounce at the value area low, and if we do break point of control and VWAP, maybe people are going to start changing their opinion, right, on that scenario. But how people emotionally move with the price action, right? It's extremely bullish. Oh, it's bearish. We're going to go down, right? Your emotions move with the market, right? It's always been like that. So, which is cool to see, right? It's kind of cool to see with these polls. Short, says Oliver. Click the button below to hit the like. Come on, guys. Sub 30K by end of the month, says 𝗬𝗫𝗽𝗽. Oh my God, that is extremely bearish prediction right there. Sub $30,000. Yeah, not liking this short, guys. I have to be honest. Even though it's big resistance, it's a very, very shallow pullback to get follow through. Okay, to get follow through here. For me personally, I don't like it. It is resistance, but I'm not liking it too much. I would rather see a little bit of a bounce, get a bit of hopium. It is a bit too shallow for me as a correction to consider the short, even though it's massive resistance. Point of control and VWAP. It's just too shallow after this movement down. I would rather see a little bit more of a bounce, see exhaustion, bearish CVDs, value area high, golden pocket 50% Fibonacci, and then maybe consider the short depending on what we form in this area at $105,000, give or take, right? But this is resistance. It could pull back here. It could, but I just don't. I would rather say I missed the short here than actually getting in. I mean, for those scalpers, you know, stop loss should be above the VWAP and above point of control. You know, it's not worth having a major large stop loss if you're getting into short here, right? If you say this is resistance, I'm going to short, it's an ABC flat, we're going to roll down. You know, your stop loss shouldn't be too crazy if you are targeting the lows. I just don't like it. I don't like it, especially when you formed a higher low here. When you formed a higher low, you give the potential for the bullishness, right? If you don't take out that low, if it's a double bottom, then that changes the picture for the flat. But forming a higher low, yeah, not liking it. I just see that potential of breaking out. So I'm not liking this one. And also the main reason is a shallow pullback, right? Not even hitting the 382 Fibonacci, which is sitting at almost $104,000, and this is still a shallow pullback. Not liking it. Whoever got into the long, very good. Could leave a bit open. Take most of the profits. The price is reacting here. Let's go through comment section. Pumping or dumping? Well, yeah, I mean, we are pumping. The analysis locally here was looking for some kind of a three-wave structure with a higher low or with a double bottom to claim these highs, at least. Now we are having resistance. I mean, this is resistance, right? So longing into resistance, you know, you have a problem with stop loss here to manage risk. It would just be a bold idea, even though if it breaks out, it's just because of a stop loss. You don't have a proper level to put stop loss here. It might turn out well or not. You know, it's just not, for me, there's no long here to take out resistance. And I don't like the short because it's a very, very shallow pullback considering the Fibonacci levels from the highs to the lows. So where would you get into another trade? Well, you know, as explained, I would like to see the movement here to the upside, to the value area high of the range where we have seen resistance, 382 might get the rejection. I mean, that's another story. If you do get pulled back down, the risk of a 112 is there. The risk of a 112 is there. So yeah, I would rather wait for higher levels. And depending on how we move here at the 50% Fibonacci and the value area high of the range, I would want to see some kind of massive bearish CVD divergence. You know, I want to see lots of longs entering here on movement and high highs on the CVD, which we might get on Bybit. No, it doesn't. Lots of people have been more interested in shorting today. Lots of shorts, lots of bearish CVDs, lower lows, higher lows on price action. So yeah, this is a full recipe to maybe go to higher levels. And very hard at the moment. Lots of people are not interested too much in longing, which is giving a high chance that we might pump, guys, here. So yeah, I think we could pump very hard right now to form high highs on the CVD. We're very, very far away in forming, higher highs on all of the exchanges. So that means that we could break out here. Not many shorts. Not many longs entering the market. Yes, on Bybit we do have them right now, which is having increased open interest. So this breakout could be quite strong. Open interest on the pumps. Yeah, trying to break above VWAP and the point of control of the range. So that's when you realize the decision here for the short was not good. Not good. Very, very shallow pullback. It's not common to get a shallow pullback and continue to the downside very aggressively. So you want to see a larger move up and then start facing some resistance, and then we can talk. Then we can analyze the local structure and then potentially there's no instant short here either. This is not a level to instantly get into a short, because if the price on this break does come up to this zone, consolidates and claims the high, this would be a bullish movement in my opinion. I would be very interested in the pullback. Preferably we do get down to the point of control. This would be bullish. I would be looking for a new high for Bitcoin. If on this pump we finish and we correct and we form another high, I would see this as a bullish move up, and I would be interested in the correction only if we form 5 waves to the upside. Of course, if we form this right over here and we get rejected, then this could be interesting. Get back below the point of control and the VWAP, and this breakout has failed and we got this movement down, I would be labeling this as a 3-wave structure. So if we fail on this breakout, okay, on this possible 3rd wave, and we get the movement down back below the point of control, then I would be interested on the bounce. Back test the point of control. The bulls had a chance here, and then obviously look for the lows to be claimed and maybe even lower. So it all really depends on the price action in the next coming hours. Is this breakout going to be successful? If it is, you're looking for a boom, 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 5-wave move up. Then it might correct. Then back testing the point of control and the VWAP is definitely going to be that option to, again, look for the highs to be claimed again. I think lots of people would be surprised with this move, because you're going to see a lot of people saying double top, this was it, larger pullback to the mid 90k levels. And if the price moves impulsively right now in the next coming hours, creating 3 more waves, you're in the 3rd one, 4th, 5th, and then you get the pullback. then here I would be interested. Back test the point of control. You're looking at 50% golden pocket zone from the low to the high, right? And then look for the next leg up to claim the highs of yesterday again, and maybe all-time high. But that would really change the structure again, right? It would be bullish. It would be a bullish confirmation if the price creates these more waves, right? The correction would be very interesting to back test the point of control of this range and look for the bounce back up to the highs. But we need this price action, right? I need this confirmation price action, which is follow through, little pullback, create one more high, you create a kind of a double top, and then the correction will be very interesting. If we do start wedging here and forming a three-wave kind of corrective move, down at the 50% golden pocket from this entire move up, that will be looking quite bullish. You know, I think we probably could be heading up to the highs and new all-time highs, maybe. I think a lot of people have flipped quite bearish with this movement down. And with the analysis that we made also throughout the last few days and understanding this three-wave structure and this three-wave structure to the upside, yeah, I don't like this to be a high. It's a poor high. It's not an impulsive high finishing a wave. It's just a three-wave move. ABC running flat was definitely an option, or coming down to the lows here. We have to say we're going to give the running flat an option right now. And if we break out with this kind of impulse, forming a large move up right now in the next 1 to 2 hours correction, move back up, then the consolidation is going to be looking very interesting, guys, for a long. Backtest point of control, the VWAP. If you form bullish CVD divergence here, higher lows and lower lows on the CVD, regardless on Bybit or not, or the rest of exchanges, if we break out like this, boom, 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 and then we start correcting down, you got a 5-wave move up. If this drop does drop the CVDs to manage to form some lower lows, new fresh lower lows and higher lows on price action, that's the moment that I would say, okay, we can back test the point of control and the VWAP. It's looking bullish. But if we fail to break out here with a few more waves to the upside and we form a very strong rejection and we get beneath, okay, then I would be expecting another leg here to the downside to finally sweep, you know, the lows of the range, at least give or take $101,000 or so. So let's see, right? You know, that we're going to have a lot of information right now to see who is winning, right? Reading the charts is really looking at the probabilities of who is winning the battle. For the moment, you know, the bulls are struggling here at this resistance. So let's see who is winning the battle, right? If we do get a strong rejection here, a back test could be an option. Because the bulls have failed, right? If the bulls fail, then we're looking at lower levels. If the bulls show some strength and forms a pretty interesting impulsive move in a 5-wave structure, then the point of control and the VWAP could provide us that next long setup. You could be looking at a third wave here. So it's all about realizing who's winning the battle, right? The charts tell you who's winning the battle at certain levels. And that's what I would be looking at the moment here. I prefer to long at 199.5k to 104k, then drop to 96. Wow, that's a lot of, that's a lot of levels right there, right? That's a lot of levels. But yeah, it would make sense to long once we sweep up the lows of this range, right? Which could definitely be a scenario, right? I do see the ABC flat, expanding flat, which would be coming down to this order block And we're looking at the 1.618 extension from the possible ABC flat, right? And you also have 50% Fibonacci from the lows of last week, 2 weeks ago here, to the highs. 50% Fibonacci is right over there at 99.5 with the order block and the 1.618 extension. So yeah, without a doubt, this would be an interesting level. Sweep up that lows right there for that liquidity. Just get rid of all of this liquidity. Get it all out from any longs, which is sitting around about 100K, right? And then maybe get the bounce, which would make sense, guys, because, you know, this, I don't like this high. I do see this high being claimed at some point in the next coming weeks. We just want a bit more information, but I don't like this to be the high. And I know most will see this as a double top. Expect 90K, right? Expect much lower prices in the next coming weeks. And I do see a high chance of this high being claimed, regardless if the low is here or the low could be in this zone, right? To form that flat. And the main reason why is how we got up there. I don't like how we got up here. It's still very corrective. It's a kind of corrective price action. So yeah, without a doubt, like someone said in the comment section, I would rather see this zone hold. And there will be time, in my opinion, to get into a long. If the price drops down aggressively in the next coming hours between today and tomorrow, right? And we do react here and we get an epic bounce, I think there will be time, regardless, to jump into a long later on, right? If you do see that reaction sign of strength, you start overlapping, you know, all of these lows. Yeah, we'll check that tomorrow. But if you lose this zone, I wouldn't be too interested. Of course, you do have the highs of the range. You do have the point of control of the entire range here as well. At 96,600 approximately. This is the entire range of 2024, 2025, right? Point of control here of this entire range, which is sitting right over here, slightly higher actually. And you got those highs from just a few weeks ago, right? Yeah, there's no doubt that all of this, you know, it's a massive order block on the daily, right? Or the weekly. It's just big highs right there. It is a zone where you would expect the price to find some support. So, I mean, if you were to lose this order block and the 1.618 extension of the flat, I wouldn't be interested in any longs here. If you lose it, I would wait for a reaction and then we can talk for a long, or wait for a bounce and then, you know, the correction could be interesting for a long. So we're going to have to see. We're going to have to wait. Even though the low could be in here, which I think has low probability for a running flat, but it is definitely, you know, let's see how the price, you know, manages this local range. If we pump up here in a 5-wave structure, then I think it could change the picture. We could actually claim the highs again, which I think is a movement that not many would expect. Not many people would expect this, but we will get that information in the next coming hours. If we pump aggressively in a 5-wave structure here locally, as we did form a higher low, it could definitely be an option. I don't think it's going to happen, but let's see. I do think that we're going to go to lower levels. Well, let's see what happens here, legends. Maybe close long. Yeah, long has been closed. Long, this local scalp long has been closed. I do have another long position, but this was just a long scalp. I do have the swing short as well that might be getting stopped out. Let's see. I would maybe re-enter with the scenarios that I explained. I want to see a failed move to the upside, get down, and then the bounce could be interesting. to get back into the short if we do get a strong rejection back below the point of control. Then I would identify this as a 3-wave move, failed breakout, and then obviously we would be looking for the prices to actually come down beneath the lows of the range. But for the moment, let's give a chance here for the bulls, and let's see what happens. Like faster, guys, yeah, because I'm going to leave. Let's see if we can push those likes, legends. Because, yeah, the long scalp is going to be given away, okay? Free money for the legends. It would be epic for me to close the stream just before we get 600 likes, which I am going to leave very, very soon, guys. So let's see if we get that push and we can send some USDT, right, to a lucky winner from that scalp long position that was provided here on the stream, right? We got $500 profit from this long scalp. And if we get to 600 likes, we're going to give it away, okay? We're going to give it away. Let's go. Like. I'm about to leave, guys. I'm about to leave. I'm going to go. Have a great day. Goodbye. Goodbye. I'm going, guys. Only 9 likes. End of stream right now in 3, 2, 1. Cheers, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Come on, guys. Let's get that like button and we'll give $500 to a lucky winner. Let's go. From a long scalp, right? Just got the money out from this long scalp, from this stream. Nice little $500 profit. And let's go. Okay. Make sure to comment. We're going to do a rollover. Okay. We're going to do a rollover. Make sure to comment right now. Here we go. Get those comments. Do it. Put anything. Put 1, put 2, put whatever. I'm going to choose somebody and I'm going to make him a moderator. And then as you are a moderator, you're going to share me your US dollar Tether wallet. Okay. Let's go, guys. Giveaway is happening live right now. Make sure to get those comments in right now as we check the price of Bitcoin struggling at the point of control. Let's get those comments. I'll be sending you 500 US dollar Tether on the Ethereum network. Okay. So once I choose you, you need to give me your US dollar Tether ERC20, okay, wallet. All right. And scammers out there, you ain't got a chance because I'm going to make moderator the winner. Right. Let's go. Okay. Anthony Mining. Let's go. You have won. Anthony Mining, congratulations. I'm going to make you moderator right now. Where are you? I'm going to look for you here in the comment section. I need to instantly make you a moderator. Anthony Mining. There we go. Congratulations, my man. You have won 500 US dollar Tether. Make sure to drop your comments so everybody can see that you, okay, drop your wallet right now. US dollar Tether. New mod. What's his name? Anthony Mining. He is moderator right now, so he needs to comment. And if he does not comment in the next 30 seconds, we'll have to do the giveaway again, right? Anthony Mining, make sure to drop your comment. Congrats, brother. Let's go. Next time, guys. Next stream, if we get lots of likes, we'll do another giveaway. Give it, you need to share the love. Give it to the community. Anthony Mining, where is he? He's not commenting. I did make him a moderator. Where is he gone? There he is. Wait. I'm logged out. Anthony, I'm leaving. I'm going, man. Next time. I'll wait, brother. Okay? Coming. No worries. I'll wait for you. Let's see what Bitcoin's doing. It's trying to break out here. I did not like the idea of the short position at the resistance, VWAP, and point of control. Just realizing that it's a shallow pullback, right? We haven't even hit the 382 Fibonacci from this aggressive move down. And if we pump here very aggressively in a 5-wave structure, I would be quite interested in the pullback corrective move. If we get choppy, we're probably going to head up to the highs again, guys. Who knows? If we fail to break out, then what I'm looking at is a possible short later on, right? Once we get that sign of weakness, the bulls cannot manage, then I would be interested in a short on the back test of the VWAP and the point of control to finally get to 101, 100K levels, right? Let's see. Let's see. There we go. Congratulations, my man. I will be sending $500 tether right away to this wallet address. Congratulations, my man. Let me just save this. Muy importante that we do save this, guys. Thank you very much for joining today's stream. Anthony Mining, I'm feeling lucky. Much love to everybody. Zeb, Pac-Man, everyone. Thank you very much for joining the stream. Make sure to destroy that like button. We're probably going to get to 700. Remember to take advantage of those bonuses, guys, on weeks. Okay, you get 25% fee reduction, 20% deposit, up to $30,000 in reward bonuses. All right, you got the first link down below. You only need an email and a password, guys, to sign up right away on weeks. Congratulations, Anthony Mining. Guys, I will see you tomorrow. Trade safe. I've explained what I want to see here locally for any internal scalps. Much love to everyone, and I'll see you in the next stream.